Inside each of us, there is a child, still waiting to be seen, still longing to be loved. What if one breath could bring you back to them? What if self-love isn't something you achieve, but something you remember? In this gentle path of mindfulness, we don't fix the wounded child. We breathe with them. This is Trandy wisdom, where healing begins with a single breath. 1. Coming home to the forgotten child. Recognizing the wounded within. There is a child within you who has waited for a very long time, not outside, not in memory alone, but in the hidden chambers of your body, your breath, your heart. This child does not cry loudly. They do not ask for much. They have learned, through years of silence, to retreat behind the eyes, into the muscles of the shoulders, into the shallows of breath. But even in silence, the child has been calling. And now, as you begin to slow down, as you begin to breathe with mindfulness, you may start to hear the soft echo. Are you there for me? Coming home does not require a passport. It is not a place on any map. It begins with a pause, with one breath, and in that pause, we meet again a presence we have forgotten, our own tender self. In the Buddhist path, coming home is not a matter of reaching something new. It is the art of touching what has always been there, waiting without blame. The forgotten child is not someone to be pitied. They are sacred. They are the doorway to deep understanding. To return to them is to return to the root of our suffering, and also the seed of our joy. Perhaps you learned to survive by ignoring this child. You had to be strong, had to perform, had to keep going when you were tired, afraid, or overwhelmed. So you wrapped the child in layers of silence and pressed on. And in the quiet spaces, that child sat still, not with resentment, but with hope. The hope that one day someone would come, not to lecture, not to fix, not to scold, but to sit beside them and simply breathe. Mindfulness is not a performance. It is not about getting better or reaching peace like an award. It is the gentle turning of attention toward the present moment, exactly as it is. When you breathe in and know that you are breathing in, you are already home. When you exhale and let your shoulders soften, you are opening the door to the child within. This child may not speak in words. They speak in body language. The way your chest tightens when you are criticized. The way tears rise when a kind word is spoken unexpectedly. The way you cannot sleep when the heart feels lonely. These are not weaknesses. They are signals. The child in you is not broken. They are trying to be heard. When you sit quietly and breathe, do not search for anything grand. Do not seek to banish thoughts or manipulate emotions. Instead, breathe like a mother holding her newborn child. Breathe like the ocean, wide, deep, accepting all waves. Allow the child in you to come forward, to look into your eyes and ask, "Can you stay with me this time?" Perhaps the child still remembers the times when no one stayed, when cries were ignored, when joy was too loud, when mistakes were met with shame. Do not turn away from these memories. They are not your enemy. They are your invitation. Let yourself remember. Let the images rise. You may see a hallway, a schoolyard, a closed door, a frightened night. Let them rise like incense in a quiet room. Let them pass like wind through an open window. You aren't trapped in these memories. You are breathing now. You are here now. And the child in you can finally be met by someone who knows how to stay. Say to yourself with honesty, "My dear one, I see you. I did not know how to be with you before, but I have learned to stop. I have learned to breathe, and now I am here." When you walk, walk slowly enough for the child to walk beside you. When you eat, eat gently enough for the child to feel safe in your body. When you lie down to sleep, Place a hand on your heart and whisper, "You are not alone." The world often teaches us to grow up by disconnecting. We are taught to suppress softness, to rush past sadness, to wear strength like armor. But mindfulness teaches a different kind of strength, the courage to feel, to hold, to stay present without defense. You do not need to prove anything to the child within you. They do not want your success. They do not need you to be perfect. They need your breath. They need your presence. They need you to come home. This is not something you do once and complete. Coming home is a daily practice. Some days it will feel natural, like slipping into warm water. Other days it will feel impossible, like walking through fog. Still, you practice. Still, you breathe. Still, you return. And each time you return, the child within grows a little more trust. Each time you say, "I am here," the echo of abandonment softens. Each time you offer presence without agenda, healing takes one more gentle step. There may be pain, there may be grief, but now, these emotions are not faced alone. They are shared between the adult, you, and the child in you. And this sharing is what turns pain into understanding, and understanding into compassion. In Buddhist teaching, we are reminded that nothing is ever truly lost. The joy you once felt is still within you. The curiosity, the creativity, the wonder. They are not gone. They have simply been waiting behind the walls of old wounds. When you hold the child with tenderness, these qualities begin to rise again, not because you force them, but because you allow them. The art of self-love begins with self-recognition. It begins with the willingness to see yourself, not only the polished surface, but the trembling depth, not only the smiles you offer others, but the tears you hide from yourself. To come home is not to escape suffering. It is to meet it with love, to say, "I will not abandon myself again," to become, at last, the presence you always needed. The inner child is not an idea. They are real, alive in you. They are the face you once had, before the world taught you to wear masks. They are the voice that once sang freely, before shame told you to be quiet. They are the open hand that once reached for connection, before fear taught you to pull away. Now, you can meet them again, not as a stranger, not as a superior, but as a friend. Take a moment, right now, to breathe slowly. Feel the air come in like a whisper. Feel it leave like a soft wave. Place a hand on your chest or your belly. Feel the warmth of your own life. This is your home. This is your true presence. Say silently, "I am here." And stay with yourself. When the mind wants to wander, stay when the heart feels tight. Stay when old memories rise like mist. Stay as the one who no longer runs. You have everything you need to return. You have your breath. You have your awareness. You have your intention to love. Coming home to the forgotten child is not a retreat into the past. It is a return to your wholeness. It is the restoration of trust in your own being. It is the realization that you are already enough, not after you heal, not after you improve, but now. This child has waited long enough. They do not want explanations. They do not want apologies. They want you, your silence, your stillness, your breath. So sit with them. Listen to their story, not with judgment, but with love. Let them cry. Let them speak. Let them rest in the lap of your awareness. And when the day ends and your head touches the pillow, say one last time, "I am here. I have come back." That is enough. You are enough. Welcome home. 2. Breathing as a bridge. Touching the present with compassion. Breathing is not something we do. It is something we are. It is the thread of life that has accompanied us since the first moment of birth. And yet, how often do we forget it? How often do we live entire days without touching the breath with awareness, without noticing the sacredness of its rhythm? When we breathe without mindfulness, we move through life like sleepwalkers. The body is present, but the spirit is far away. Our attention is scattered across worries of tomorrow and regrets of yesterday, but the breath is always here, in this moment, calling us back with the tenderness of a mother. To return to the breath is to return to ourselves. We do not need to change the breath, force it, or lengthen it. We simply need to come home to it, to notice the in-breath as it enters, to follow the out-breath as it leaves. This is already a miracle, a gentle act of waking up. The breath is a bridge. It connects our busy thoughts to the quiet sanctuary of the body. It links our outer world of noise and demands to our inner world of peace and stillness. Every conscious breath is a step out of forgetfulness and a step into loving awareness. Try sitting quietly, right where you are. Bring your hand to your belly or chest. Feel the breath rising and falling beneath your palm. Do not ask it to be perfect. Just be with it. Even in moments of anxiety, even in pain, the breath does not abandon you. It stays. When emotions rise like waves, fear, sadness, irritation, you may feel pulled into their current. But when you breathe with awareness, you are no longer the wave. You are the ocean. You do not suppress the emotion, nor do you become it. You hold it, gently, like a mother holds her crying child. In the space of a single breath, we can create refuge, a place where the heart is not judged, the body is not pushed, and the mind is not punished for wandering. We simply begin, again and again, each breath, a fresh beginning, a soft landing. Mindful breathing does not promise that the storm will pass immediately. It promises that we do not have to be lost inside it. We can stay rooted, grounded, watching the wind move through the trees, while remaining steady in ourselves. The breath is our anchor. Breathing is the most natural thing in the world. And yet, when touched with mindfulness, it becomes sacred. The way a bird lands gently on water, the way leaves fall in autumn. Simple, ordinary, and yet full of presence. You may choose to walk in silence, letting each step be guided by your breath, or you may sit at your desk. Take one deep inhale and return to your body. You may breathe in traffic, on a train, while washing dishes. The breath is always available, always home. Simple phrases can support your practice. You might say, silently, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. These are not instructions. They are invitations. Invitations to remember that peace is not something far away. It is in your next breath. Your breath is not a performance. You do not need to succeed at breathing. You only need to arrive with kindness, with patience, with a willingness to be with yourself as you are, not as you think you should be. The breath does not demand change. It only offers presence. And with presence, transformation happens, not by force, but by softness, not by striving, but by surrendering to what is. When you let go of trying to control the moment becomes alive. You begin to feel your body again. You begin to feel your heart. The body remembers everything. It remembers the times you left it behind. It remembers the tension, the holding, the fear, and it remembers how to relax, how to come back to ease. When you breathe with love, let your breath speak to your body. I am here for you. Even if your breath is shallow, even if your chest feels tight, stay with it. Do not fight it. Your breath is telling the truth of your inner life. It reflects your fear and your longing. When you stop resisting the breath, it becomes your teacher. It leads you inward, gently. Some days, the breath will feel light as a feather. Other days, it will feel heavy and stuck. Let both be okay. You're not here to force peace. You're here to touch whatever is alive. The breath helps you touch with compassion, not control. If tears come while you breathe, let them fall. They are the rain that waters healing. If silence comes, let it stretch. In that silence, you are learning to listen, not only to the world outside, but to the world within. Your breath is your guide. Let the breath move through your grief, your regret, your longing. Let it wash the dust from old memories. Let it soften the edges of harsh thoughts. Let it kiss the places you thought were unlovable. The breath makes space for you to return to yourself without fear. In every culture, there are stories of return. The hero goes away, gets lost, and then finds the path home. You are not so different. In your breath, you are returning, not to a place, but to a presence, not to who you used to be, but to who you truly are beneath the noise. Say to yourself, gently, I don't need to fix anything right now. I only need to breathe. Let that be enough. It is enough. You are already enough. As you breathe, you reconnect not only with yourself, but with all of life. The trees breathe. The rivers breathe. The animals breathe. The whole planet is breathing, and you are part of it. When you breathe mindfully, you join the dance of interbeing. Mindful breathing reminds you that you are not separate. You are not alone, even in solitude. The breath is there. It connects you to your own heart and to the hearts of others. In this way, the breath becomes an act of love, not only for the self, but for the world. So, take one more breath now. Feel it fully. Receive it like a gift. Let it carry you into your body, into your moment, into your life. You are here. You are breathing. You are enough. 3. Looking deeply into the pain. The path of understanding and love. To look deeply is not merely to analyze or to understand with the intellect. It is to sit quietly with what is, allowing the truth of your experience to unfold in its own time, in its own way. Looking deeply is an act of love, not a technique. It requires no tools but your breath, no effort but your presence. When we look deeply into our pain, we are not trying to get rid of it. We are trying to understand it, to befriend it, to hold it gently with both hands and say, I see you, and I will not turn away. Pain does not need to be erased. It needs to be seen. It is like a small child tugging at your sleeve. If you ignore it, it will cry louder. But if you kneel down and look into its eyes, if you say, yes, I hear you, the crying begins to quiet. Our suffering often grows louder when it feels unseen. Looking deeply is a way of saying, I am here. I will listen. This is the beginning of transformation, not in the pain itself, but in the way we relate to it. Often, we are afraid to look at our suffering. We are afraid that if we do, we will be overwhelmed, that the pain will swallow us whole. But mindfulness gives us a light. It gives us the courage to sit in the darkness without panic, to stay in the room with our sorrow, and not be consumed. Breathing deeply, we make space. We are not rushing to change the pain. We are inviting it to speak. When you feel sadness rise in your chest, pause. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out even more slowly. Instead of asking, how can I fix this? Ask, what are you trying to tell me? Pain has its own language. It speaks in tears, in restlessness, in fatigue. It is the body's way of saying, something matters here. When you look deeply into your pain, you begin to uncover its root, not just the event that triggered it, but the unmet need underneath. Perhaps your anger is asking to be understood as hurt. Perhaps your fear is a plea for safety. Perhaps your loneliness is a longing for connection. These are not flaws in your character. They are signals, and when you bring compassion to them, they begin to soften. They no longer need to scream for attention. They are finally heard. Understanding is a flower that blooms in the soil of stillness. When you stop resisting pain, when you stop distracting yourself from discomfort, you begin to see the truth beneath the surface. Sometimes the truth is difficult, but it is also freeing. The pain becomes less frightening when it has a name, a shape, a history. When it is seen through the eyes of compassion, it no longer has the power to control you. Looking deeply does not mean thinking more. It means touching what is alive in you right now. The breath is your guide. With each inhale, you gather the courage to stay. With each exhale, you offer kindness to the part of you that is hurting. Slowly, gently, the pain begins to feel held, and in that holding, something begins to shift. There may be memories that rise to the surface, old wounds, forgotten griefs, the sound of a voice that once hurt you. Let them come. You do not have to push them away. You do not have to invite them to stay forever. You simply allow them to be there. Without fear, you are not the pain. You are the one who is aware of the pain. This awareness is vast. It is not wounded. It is not afraid. In the light of your awareness, even the deepest sorrow begins to dissolve, not disappear, but transform. The sharpness softens. The grip loosens. What once felt unbearable becomes bearable. Not because it is less painful, but because you are no longer alone in it. Your breath is with you. Your presence is with you. That is enough. You can whisper to your pain, I am here. I see you. I will not run away this time. This is the essence of self-love, not just in moments of peace, but in moments of difficulty, to sit with your own suffering and offer it the kind of attention you might give a beloved friend. This is the true miracle, not the absence of pain, but the presence of understanding. When we look deeply, we begin to see that our pain is connected to the pain of others. Our suffering is not private. It is part of the great river of human experience. This realization does not diminish our hurt. It allows us to touch the common humanity within it. We are not alone in our fear, our grief, our longing. This shared understanding deepens compassion. You may begin to see the person who hurt you with new eyes. You may realize that they, too, were in pain. This does not mean you excuse their actions. It means you free yourself from hatred. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is understanding that we all act from our own wounds. This insight sets you free. You no longer need to carry the burden of bitterness. Looking deeply allows us to reclaim our wholeness. We no longer have to exile parts of ourselves to feel safe. We can welcome the scared child, the angry voice, the grieving heart. All of them belong. All of them have something to teach. When we see clearly, we love more deeply. And when we love more deeply, healing begins to bloom. This is the path of the Bodhisattva. To touch suffering not with fear, but with compassion. To say, this pain is also me, and I will care for it. You do not need to be a saint. You only need to be willing. Willing to stay. Willing to breathe. Willing to love what is difficult to love. This is true bravery. This is the heart of awakening. 4. Embracing the child. Embracing the self. Self-love as awakening. To embrace the child within is to embrace the entire universe within you. It is not an act of indulgence. It is an act of awakening. When we hold the child with tenderness, we are not escaping into the past. We are returning to the roots of our being. This child is not merely a memory or a psychological construct. This child is the one who has felt every joy and every wound. To recognize them is to recognize the living presence of your vulnerable, tender, still aching self. They are the heartbeat of your deepest being. Many of us spend years avoiding this encounter. We fear that if we open the door to this small one inside, we will be overwhelmed. We fear the sadness, the grief, the rage that may come pouring out. But the child does not want to drown us. The child only wants to be seen, to be heard, to be held. The moment we say, "My dear, I am here," we begin the healing. We stop running. We stop rejecting ourselves. We stop performing wholeness and begin embodying it. Self-love is not a goal. It is not a reward for healing. It is the very path of healing itself. Each time we turn inward with gentleness, each time we meet our pain without judgment, each time we say yes to our breath, we are practicing the art of self-love. This love is not sentimental. It is not romantic. It is spacious. It is deep. It is clear. It allows pain to exist without being wrong. It allows joy to arise without being clung to. It lets the child rest in your arms and says, "You are welcome here." Embracing the child within you is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice, like watering a plant, like feeding a bird, like watching the sun rise. It takes patience, it takes presence, and it takes the willingness to feel not only what is comfortable, but also what has long been buried. The child remembers everything, and so must we, not as a burden, but as a way to free the knots within us. You may feel grief rise like a tide. You may feel shame appear like a shadow. Let them come. Do not run. These are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are finally safe enough to feel what was once too dangerous to feel. They are signs that the child in you trusts your presence enough to speak. Breathe with them. Say, "Yes, I see you. Yes, I hear you. Yes, I am here." When you cradle this child in awareness, you are not regressing. You are integrating. You are weaving all the forgotten parts of yourself into a new wholeness. You are walking with the child, not dragging them behind or locking them away. You are holding their hand as you walk through the world, and in doing so, you begin to live differently. You speak more gently. You rest more deeply. You become more real. To awaken to is not to become someone new. It is to remember who you have always been. Beneath the noise, the child in you has always known how to be present, how to wonder, how to love. They have simply been waiting for your return. When you embrace the child, you embrace the self that exists without needing to perform, to prove, to impress. You return to your original face, the one before the world taught you to hide. You may wish to sit each morning and say, "Dear child, today I will not forget you." Place a hand on your heart. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. Imagine the small one inside you resting there. Say to them, "You are safe. You belong. I will not abandon you again." These are not words of fantasy. They are sacred promises. When repeated daily, they reshape the nervous system. They reteach the body how to trust. The child inside you may still doubt. They may test you. They may say, "Are you sure?" Do not be discouraged. Smile. Breathe. Show up again and again. Healing is not linear. It is circular. Sometimes you will revisit old wounds, but each time, you return with more breath, more compassion, more clarity. Each time, you bring more light into the cave. You do not need to be perfect to be worthy of love. You do not need to heal completely before you can rest. The child in you is not waiting for your enlightenment. They are waiting for your honesty, for your tenderness, for your quiet willingness to be with them, just as they are. And when you do this, you awaken a deep truth. Love is not something you find. Love is something you return to. The Buddha taught that understanding and love are one. To understand is to love, and to love is to be willing to look deeply. When you understand your own suffering, you do not have to be afraid of it anymore. You can say, "This is my fear. This is my loneliness. This is my longing." You no longer need to push it away. You can hold it. You can care for it. You can love it like a fragile flower blooming in the dark. This is awakening, not in some distant temple, not in a monastery, not in a mountaintop, but in your own chest, in your own breath, in your own loving gaze toward the small one inside. Each act of self-love is an act of liberation. Each kind word, each gentle breath, each moment of mindfulness with the child is a step into freedom. We often think that awakening means transcending the self, but true awakening is embracing the self completely. Nothing left out, nothing rejected. To bow to the child is to bow to the whole cosmos, because in that child are the clouds, the rivers, the stars, the ancestors. In that child is the whole web of life. And when you say yes to them, you say yes to everything. Sit quietly and imagine the child resting beside you. Do not rush to comfort them. Just breathe. Let your presence speak. Let your stillness become the bed where they rest. Let your breath become the song they hear. You are not trying to fix them. You are simply saying, "You matter." That is what heals. That is what awakens. And so, with each breath, we return, not to who we were told to be, but to who we have always been. The child within you doesn't need perfection. They need presence. They need your quiet, steady love. Keep breathing, keep listening, because every time you do, you're coming home. This is not the end of a story, but the beginning of remembering. Thank you for being here, with yourself, and with Trandy wisdom.